Hi, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Forbes Sports Money on Yes. I'm Bob Lorenz, joined as always by my co-host Michael Ozanian of Forbes magazine, who brings us once again Forbes' newest Fab 40, a.k.a. the top sports brand. So explain the methodology behind the madness as we go along. Let's start with teams.
Well, Bob, for teams, we look at a portion of team value that isn't attributable to the revenue that's shared equally among all the teams in the league. So, for example, in the NFL, last season, each team got $98 million from the broadcasting TV deals. We exclude that. We look at what the teams earn and what they're valued on apart from what's shared. In this case, you got to look at the Spanish powerhouses in soccer, Barcelona and Real Madrid, Real being the most valuable soccer team. Big advantage. They don't have to share any of their TV money. So that puts those two teams in the top 10.
All right, we're going to talk more about those teams, obviously, including Barcelona coming up in just a bit. But let's talk more about those teams. What about American brands?
Well, you got to look at other teams that do really well in their local revenue. The Yankees are a great example, from tickets, from sponsorships, and also rights fees from the YES Network. And in the NFL, the standout are the Dallas Cowboys, Bob. I mean, they're the only football team, in fact, probably the only sports team in the country that I can think of that actually even makes their own merchandise. And they got that new naming rights deal with AT&T for their stadium this year. And that, again, that's revenue apart from what they have to share from the league, so that really boosts their brand.
All right, let's keep moving on. Let's talk about top sports brands in terms of athletes.
Well, you know, here what we do is we look at just endorsement income, and we pull from each athlete's endorsement income the amount they get paid over and above what the average athletes in the same sport get paid, the average of the top 10. So in this case, if you look at the top two, actually they're tied for number one, Tiger and tennis great Roger Federer. $46 million each is what we ascribe to their brands, because that's what each of them earn in endorsements over the average of the top 10 golfers for Tiger and top 10 tennis players for Federer.
All right, let's turn our attention to events. What are the top sports brands there?
Well, here it's a little tricky, because we don't just look at an event like the Super Bowl or the Champions League in soccer or the World Series, for example, and say how much revenue did they pull in. We look at it revenue per event day. This gives the advantage to the Super Bowl because it's one day, and penalizes the World Series because it could be anywhere from 4 to 7 event days, 4 to 7 games, and things like the World Cup, which pulls in more money in total than the Super Bowl, but is in over many days. So the NFL is the #1 sports event brand, $464 million in one day from TV, licensing, sponsorship, and tickets.
Not surprised to hear that's #1 on the list. Let's wrap it up by talking about the top businesses.
And this is probably my trickiest exercise among the sports brands, because here I have to estimate, with the help of analysts, what a business would fetch in an arm's length transaction over and above a rival's. We actually have a real-life example, something that happened not too long ago. 49% of the YES Network was sold in a deal that valued all of YES at $3.8 billion. But the premium that YES was sold for over and above, if you had a, let's say, a generic regional sports network, was $625 million. So that's what we ascribe to the brand value of the YES Network.
And it seems like we're finding on the businesses side that there's some businesses networks tied to teams, like the YES Network, like NESN.
Actually, that's a great point, because if we have two strong brands, they both can help each other become more valuable when they're successful. So you have the YES and the Yankees, each of those among the top 40. In baseball, you also have the Red Sox and NESN. Successful there. The Red Sox in the World Series this year. NESN also doing very well.
You know what? You're crunching numbers all the time, Michael, but I wondered, when you put together the Fab 40, does it drive you a little crazy? You got to have numbers everywhere.
You know what? That's part of the reason why I am the way I am, Bob. I mean, I wasn't born this way.
I figured there were a lot of reasons, but crunching all those numbers, that's one of them. All right.